Not live yet.
Guess what day it is?
Hump day!
Guess what day it is?
Hump day! Mike, Mike,
Hey
Mike, Mike, Mike.
y'all,
Spence,
what's
Spence,
up?
Spence,
It's
Spence,
Hump
Spence,
Day.
Spence, 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 Spence. You can't say Spence that
Joe, Joe,
fast.
Joe, 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 Joe. I can do Joe.
Joe's easy. Spence is not easy. Spence is hard to say that fast. It's crazy.
What's up, y'all? Y'all know what day it is. It's Wednesday, so that means it is Hump Day
Hump,
Hotline coming to
hump
you
day!
live.
Hump day!
I got my main man Joe Miller with me. Oh, wrong way. Got my main man Joe Miller with me.
Dude, I'll never get it
And
right. I'll never get it
no,
right.
ever. And as you know, I am your co-host, Jay Spence the King.
What's up, brother?
And man, I'm having a good day. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I can't complain. I can't complain at all. A lot of good stuff going on. Obviously, the players reported, which is sweet. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good. Well, you know what? Players reported, but we've also had some iffy news, so it's been kind of bittersweet for some things. But I think towards once we get to the season, I think everybody will be healthy. I know we got some Cole Beasley news that we can touch on. Yesterday, we got some news about Star Latulele we could talk about. But
What happened with Cole Beasley? Tell me that. Give me that news first.
well, Cole apparently they placed him on an injured list because of his upper back injury.
I feel your pain, Cole. I feel it.
Yeah, well, mine is lower back for the most part, but
Me
yeah.
too. I'm just a lot. I'm probably double his age. That's the only difference. So
Yeah. I think Cole Beasley's younger than me. I'm 34. He's yeah, okay. But anyway, we're gonna actually talk about to start the show off though. So we'll come back to the Cole Beasley thing. We're obviously gonna catch all your guys' comments. So really hit us up in the comments. We're trying to be really interactive today, trying to talk as much as possible. Remember, super chatters get priority. So hump that like. You know what I'm saying? Hump that like. Let's do it.
I can't be a part of this, man. No, that's good stuff. And we can talk about just the COVID stuff as it pertains to training camp. I've got a decent enough handle or grasp on it. If anybody's got any questions, we can answer some of those questions too. But like Spence just said, I mean, this is your show. So as much as we have content, and if you want to sit there and listen to us podcast, we can bring content to you, but that's not what we want. We want you guys to interact with us. We want you to chat us up. We want you to smash that like or hump the like, as Jay Spence just said. Again, as he said, super chatters get priority. So if you're on YouTube and you super chat, you're going to light this place up, which effectively is what we want. So, yeah. So what is going on with Star Latulele? Give me some of that noise.
Well, be honest. Before you get to, I want to come off the. I want to like off the rip. I just want to go with the hot topic we were talking about.
Come on, you're going to start there?
I'm gonna start there. I'm gonna start right there. I'm gonna start right there.
All right. We might not get to any. We might not get to anything else.
That's why I want to start there. I don't want to be here.
Judging by the preloaded comments, a half hour before the show started, I don't know that we're going to get there. But you know what? Voila! There's your ticker tape.
Well, you know what? Okay. Well, no. So I'm going to ask it. So, does Josh Allen winning one Super Bowl change the legacy of Jim Kelly?
Are you asking me or are you asking people?
Well, I just read it the way you wrote it, but I'm going to ask it now. I'm going to ask people now. The way the question was originally posed in the chat. That's my question. Do you think that Jim Kelly gets too much credit for being this amazing, innovative, like this great quarterback when they never won a Super Bowl? When you really look at it, he and Josh Allen have the same amount of Super Bowls. I'm not trying to make Josh Allen into he's not the savior. He's not that. But what I'm saying is they literally have the same amount of Super Bowl wins, not appearances. I'm not talking about no. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not. There's a lot of people who actually. You should have saw the comments.
Well, then Josh Allen must be as good as Dan Marino.
I didn't say that.
You did. You did not say it.
Well, really, the question isn't even about Josh. If I'm gonna be honest with you, the question isn't even about Josh. I kind of threw Josh in there just to kind of get people talking because I knew comparing Josh and Jim would get people going. But in reality, the question is, do we give Josh Allen? No, I'm sorry. No, do we give Jim Kelly too much credit for making it but never winning? In Buffalo, we kind of revere this guy. We treat this guy like he's, we just treat him at the top of the top. He's the top of the top as far as A-listers in Buffalo, and anywhere he goes, I bet you he doesn't have to buy a drink anywhere.
For sure, for sure. I guess the place that I would start, unless you want to start with some of the people that are chatting in, for me, I guess the question is if it isn't Jim Kelly, who is it? Right. So if it's not Jim Kelly leading the Buffalo Bills to 4 consecutive Super Bowls, what quarterback is doing it? And then you have to follow that up with the question of what was the talent in the 90s? And this is going to be a very, very difficult topic to probably discuss because of the limited amount of people that are going to be basically having a conversation about it. I mean, I remember all of it, but a lot of people don't. Like a lot of people, there's a, what is there? There's just an aspect of like, there's this aura around that 90s Bills team that somehow they were like the greatest team of the 90s. And they had the most wins of any team in the 90s. And then they just couldn't like win at the end. But I think you have to back up. What's that?
No, I was going to ask. So if they couldn't win it, do they really qualify to be the greatest team of the 90s?
Well, they won more games than any other team did.
But they didn't win the game.
They didn't win the game, so that's absolutely. But that's not the question. The question is about Jim Kelly. Does Jim Kelly get too much credit? Right. That was the question you asked. So you have to ask the questions, like I said before. If it's not Jim Kelly, who's doing it? So to me, there's a limited amount of quarterbacks that are doing what Jim Kelly did in the 90s with this Buffalo Bills team, specifically based on the skill set that he had. And these were always my contributions to that chat. And we've already got our first super chat. Cody Finney, you're the man. But like, when you think about what Jim Kelly did, who he was as a player, and what he accomplished, even though it didn't come through at the end, there's nobody else in the NFL before Peyton Manning that was doing what Jim Kelly was doing. And that offense was predicated on Jim Kelly's skill set. So does he get too much credit? I don't know that I would say that. I mean, and there was a lot of good teams in the NFL back then. Go ahead. Give me what Cody says.
Cody says he got some news for us. Tommy Sweeney is on the physically unable to perform list. D. Williams and Vincent Taylor is on the COVID-19 list, and Beasley with the back injury, like we just spoke about. And hey, the best quarterback we've ever had, Nathan Peterman. Nathan, where's Rico?
Knock on wood if you're with me. Knock on wood if you're with me. Knock on wood if you're with me. So that I was going to say, just on that COVID piece, just so everybody knows that just because they're on the COVID-19 list, it doesn't mean that they have COVID or that they tested positive for COVID. It basically means that they either did test positive for COVID or they've been in close proximity. So family member has COVID or a friend, or they've been in, around somebody with COVID. So they're just taking precautions. So,
and if I'm not mistaken, I believe they have to test negative twice, and then first they have to stay away from the team or quarantine for a certain amount of time.
Correct.
2 negative tests before they can come back to play.
Correct. So thank you, Cody, for that super chat. You the man. And
Cody's just that Cody's trolling, but but you said something right before we read Cody's comment. You said something that you and I actually disagree about all the time since we have this Jim Kelly talk.
You can be wrong.
You said that that's fine. If I'm wrong, I take it. I take my lashings.
But you don't. You haven't accepted it yet. You haven't acquiesced.
Because I don't think I'm wrong with what I'm about to say.
Okay,
I think
here we go.
We're giving, and this is again, it's another way that Jim Kelly is getting too much credit. I think that Jim Kelly is not. You can't say Jim Kelly is the reason why Peyton Manning is Peyton Manning and Jim Kelly are two different quarterbacks. Peyton Manning is probably top 3 greatest quarterbacks of all time, whereas Jim Kelly isn't near the top 5.
Your age is speaking. That's like saying that's like saying that Thurman Thomas had nothing to do with Marshall Faulk, and the way that they used Thurman Thomas versus the way that Barry was, the player that Barry was, the player that Emmett was, that Thurman Thomas coming before them and basically paving the way or providing a blueprint for Marshall Faulk, for LaDainian Tomlinson, for all these players. We have no problem as Bills fans. Like, Bills fans all day long be like, oh, Thurman Thomas was the first all-purpose back. He's got 3 or 4 consecutive years with all-purpose yards from scrimmage. Like, nobody will ever beat that record. Thurman Thomas was the blueprint for all these running backs today. And then when it comes to Jim Kelly, it's like, oh, Jim Kelly had nothing to do with Peyton Manning. Really? Because Jim Kelly was the only quarterback who ever called his own plays from scrimmage. They tried it with Marino. They tried it with Terry Bradshaw. They tried it with several other quarterbacks before him. And basically, the piece that everybody misses, and I give this to you all the time, is Ted Marchibroda. The offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills when Jim Kelly became Jim Kelly and the K-Gun became the K-Gun was Ted Marchibroda. Ted Marchibroda gets a head coaching job. Guess where? He gets it in Indianapolis. Who does he draft? Peyton Manning. And then basically he takes Jim Kelly's offense and expands it and gives it to Peyton. Now, there's nobody in the world that's going to argue that Peyton Manning was not as good as Jim Kelly. Peyton Manning is the greatest quarterback of all time. I think. Now, there's people that think Tom Brady might be right there. I don't know. Tom Brady's a great quarterback. I think Peyton is hands down the greatest quarterback to ever play football. However, Jim Kelly doesn't exist. Peyton Manning doesn't do Peyton Manning things. And I think we can both agree that players play based on, and who they become is largely based on the coaches that coach them. There are a lot of great players that became great players because of who coached them. And there's a lot of players that fizzled out, washed out, never saw their potential because of who coached them. And at the end of the day, you have to give credit where credit is due. We have somebody, Bills backers. Can I just stop for a second? Hello from Bills backers, Mexico.
I got to get a bell like Rico.
Mark,
that's crazy.
Mark, buddy, Mexico, my family, we are all about it. We have been to Cancun, I think 3 times. We've been to Riviera Maya once. We've been Cabo San Lucas twice. Like, if there's a place I'm going to Mexico.
I love Cozumel. Cozumel is my absolute favorite place to be.
Yeah, dude. So absolutely, hello, Bills backers, Mexico. Like, bro, I'm all about it. So for me, there is a direct connection. It may not be an umbilical, but it's almost an umbilical between Jim Kelly and Peyton Manning, and that umbilical is his head coach. I mean, you can't deny it. You can rebut it.
No, I can, because I just feel like again you're doing the Buffalo thing. Like, fans of the Bills. No, seriously, it's not just Buffalo. Every fan base does it. They're committed and they're connected to their team, so they give their teams too much credit. And we're giving Jim Kelly way too much credit. Peyton Manning and Jim Kelly are not the same quarterback. Yes, Peyton Manning was calling calls at the line like Jim Kelly-esque, but no, it's not the same. Jim Kelly, they're not even close.
Like Jim Kelly and who else?
Listen, you can make it. That's fine.
Answer the question. Like Jim Kelly and who else?
Really, if you wanted me to be honest about it, like nobody, because Peyton Manning did it in a way that Jim Kelly never could. So I'm saying is you're giving Jim Kelly way too much credit.
The only two that have done it. One of them came before the other, and his head coach was the other guy's offensive coordinator that designed the offense and then went out and handpicked a quarterback to run his offense. Yes or no?
No. I do not agree with you.
You can't just say no.
Listen, I'm a Bills fan too. I'm a Jim Kelly fan. You see what I have in my collection? I took it out of my frame to bring it for the show. I love Jim Kelly. No, listen, I can love Jim Kelly and I can be a fan and also be honest. The problem that I always end up having with these discussions with Bills fans is that for some reason we can't look outside of the box as far as saying, okay, yeah, I love my team, but they're not good this way, or they need to improve this way. And if I do it, that means I'm not a Bills fan. That's not the case. I'm honest.
What you're saying is relatively valid. I'm not going to say that it's not necessarily valid. What I would tell you though is this isn't Homer glasses. We're talking about stats. We're talking about real information. Not to mention the fact that Jim Kelly, when he retired, and you can look up these statistics, Jim Kelly, when he retired, had better stats than John Elway, and he played in the league 3 less years. Jim Kelly did better than John Elway. John Elway blows his numbers away now because John Elway had 3 years before Jim, and I think he had 4 years after Jim, or 3 years after Jim. Jim Kelly's numbers were better than Troy Aikman's and I think Jim Kelly's numbers still are better than Troy Aikman's. Now, I don't think Troy Aikman's a great quarterback, but if you look at that time capsule as far as when Jim Kelly played and when Jim Kelly retired, and you stop the information right there when Jim Kelly retired, the numbers speak for themselves. It's not Homerism. Jim Kelly's in the Hall of Fame for a reason. There's a reason, and it's not because he went to 4 Super Bowls. Jim Kelly, as a quarterback, did things that other quarterbacks have never done before, ever. And you can't argue that. That's not a Buffalo Bills homer thing. The reason that it's a Buffalo Bills homer thing is because Buffalo Bills fans know it. It wouldn't be a Buffalo Bills homer thing if fans of the Dolphins knew it, if fans of the Broncos knew it, if fans of the Cowboys knew it, but they don't know it. They don't know that Jim Kelly was the only quarterback ever to call his own plays from scrimmage. He was his offensive coordinator. After Marchibroda left, what happened? That offense still was successful, was still trucking people because Jim Kelly was the linchpin. He was the guy. And yes, all the players around him helped. That's probably the biggest difference between Jim Kelly and Peyton Manning, and this is why I believe Peyton Manning is the best quarterback in the end, ever to play. Peyton Manning elevated the players around him completely. He had some good players. He had Marvin Harrison and Edgerrin James, and he had Marshall Faulk, and there were guys that he had, but he did not have the talent that Jim Kelly had around him. So Peyton elevated players around him, whereas Jim had talent around him, but as Jim went, that offense went, period. And that's just the facts. As much as Joe came for blood, as much as people in Buffalo love Frank Reich, and I've said for forever, and I've said it on my podcast, the Overreaction Show, a million times, that we are about the underdog. Buffalo fans love the underdog. They love the guy on the bench more than they love the starter all day long. And Jim Kelly had his moments in Buffalo where he didn't have a great reputation, whether it was just rumors in the news and just not being nice to people in public, where, the reality is Frank Reich didn't run that offense like Jim Kelly did. Yes, he has the greatest comeback in NFL history, but is that because he's Frank Reich, or is that because of the talent around him? I don't know the answer to that question. I just know that when I saw Frank Reich play football as the Buffalo Bills quarterback, they didn't look like the same football team. Yes, no?
Saying, you can make this. No, you're right. They didn't look like the same football team. He won that game, but you're right. They didn't look like he would have been the starter elsewhere if he was really that good.
But
I agree with you there.
You didn't respond. Okay.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, you didn't respond. You didn't respond to my, what I consider relevant. If we were in a court of law, it's valid. You did not respond to my point about Thurman Thomas. Bills fans love to give Thurman Thomas credit all day long for being one of the very first all-purpose NFL running backs ever. Mm-hmm. You didn't even respond to it. But Jim Kelly, being the only quarterback at that time to ever call his own plays from scrimmage,
I'm going to use your argument against you.
Because I'm a Bills homer.
What you just said about Frank Reich is the same thing. Was it the talent around Jim? I'm telling you, Jim was not. Listen,
Thurman was amazing.
Thurman was amazing. Andre was amazing. We had other receivers that were amazing. We had defense that was amazing.
The defense was not amazing. So we had defensive players that were amazing. So Bruce Smith was amazing. But that bend but not break defense, Walt Corey, was the reason that Buffalo Bills football team lost Super Bowls. That bend but not break defense was not great.
Okay. I won't argue that. No, I agree. It was players that were great. But what I'm saying is the argument that I can make is the same thing that you're saying about Frank Reich. Was it Jim? You're saying he he did all this stuff. Was it the players around him? Because when Frank Reich was in, that offense didn't look the same. You said yourself, Peyton elevated people who weren't as good. Jim Kelly had a team. If you ask me, the leader on that team was Thurman Thomas on the offense. That leader on, you know what I mean? It wasn't. You could now listen. I don't want to get into people's personal stories and stuff like that, but just as well as I do, and I'm sure people in the comments will be honest about it and say, there are so many stories and true stories that we know are true about Jim that if he was playing today, we would not consider him a leader and he would be canceled according to cancel culture.
But you and I covered this. Quarterbacks lead in different facets in different areas. Jim was not a great leader off the field. Well, that isn't true. He was a great leader off the field, and when it came to post bickering Bills, uniting the team as a family, the requirement of all the players after games, win or lose, going to his house, being at the party, bonding, all that family experience. He wasn't always great at the podium, but on the football field, Jim Kelly was the general. He was the general. As Jim went, that team went, period. I mean, even Thurman Thomas, when Thurman Thomas was having off days and bad days, they'd give the ball to Kenny Davis, and what would happen? Kenny'd blow up. He'd get good numbers. So Jim, there was nobody else. If Jim wasn't playing well, that team wasn't playing well, and that's just the way that it was. Holding the clipboard.
Something real quick, though, before I read this, because I see a ton of comments that really thinks that we are comparing Josh and Jim, I just want to say we posed the question. Well, no, we posed the question that way just to kind of get engagement. But honestly, the question, we can't compare Josh and Jim. We know it. So everybody in the comments who's yelling about it, we understand. We can't compare the two. It's literally just a conversation about if we feel like, or if you feel like Jim Kelly gets too much credit, for the teams of the 90s. That's really all it's about. But Bob says holding the clipboard can you say the coach's name? Say it, Joe. I can't say it. Marchibroda.
That you nailed it.
Marchibroda may write one of the
top
coaches in the
Your
league.
Honor, I rest my case.
Marchibroda.
I arrest my case, Your Honor, right there.
Oh no, he is one of the best coaches in the league today. I will say that, and I agree with Bob. But like I said, that has nothing to do with the argument that we're having. Jim Kelly, we're giving him way too much credit, and you love him. I get it. You really love those guys from the 90s, but you experienced it in a different way that I did. So I
don't have an abnormal love for Jim over anybody else. For me, it's a holistic appreciation. I mean that team defined in large ways. Who's winning the debate? That's funny. That team in large ways defined my childhood. So I mean, I'm a Bruce fan. I'm a Biscuit fan. I'm a Darryl Talley fan. I'm a Henry Jones fan. Like, I loved Henry Jones when I was a kid. I mean, the reality is everybody that was on that football team, and Jim was just another part of the team. But it's not homerism to believe that Jim Kelly was the general, and understand that, like, you know, there's the one I've told you about this. My favorite Tyrod Taylor moment. And I don't remember the tight end. I want to say it was Jason Kroom. It might not have been, but maybe it was Lee Smith. But the team is at the line, and basically the tight end is a little bit lost. He's not exactly sure what's going on, so he kind of went into a half motion, and the camera is like right on Tyrod Taylor, right on his face, and you see Tyrod Taylor look at him, and he's like, and he screams, "Get on the line!" Like, get on the line! That was Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly was the general of that football team when they were on the football field. As Jim went, that team went, period. And that's just the way that it was. So does he get too much credit? You could probably make a case with the greatness. I mean, that you're talking about a team that put 5 people in the Hall of Fame. You could make a case that Jim had amazing talent around him. That's probably something that doesn't get talked about enough. The fact that the Bills put more players in the Hall of Fame from that team than the Cowboys did from their 90s team. Like, it's amazing how many players the Bills put in the Hall of Fame from that team. But when they were on the field, when it came down to it, Jim was the guy calling the shots. Like, as Jim went, the offense went. So do we have a couple more here I need to pay attention to? It's a tie, both making it. Scott, it is not a tie. I'm winning. He doesn't even know how to say Marcha I don't know who's. I don't know. I don't know who the drunk man is that's running the Buffalo Fanatics handle right now. But I think I've got control, and I'll block you. I'll block the Buffalo Fanatics handle.
With the projected salary cap of only 175 next offseason, what position does that put the jeopardy of losing great players such as Milano, White, Edmonds? To be honest, I don't think that it actually puts us in too much jeopardy for specific players, because they're going to sign Trey White. They're going to sign Edmonds. He's not. But Milano, it depends. But the thing is, there's some players that I feel like we're not going to have next season, just period. We're going to cut some guys who are just going to be salary cap casualties. We're going to keep our core players. If we, there may be 1 or 2 that we feel like is a star that we might have to let go just because, but the core group of guys are all going to be there.
So it's, and I hate to pimp my own show, but Greg Thompson was on with me from the Cover One podcast a couple weeks ago, and we talked literally about the free agents coming up. If you get a chance to go back through the archives of Buffalo Fanatics and check that show out, we talked at length just about the guys that are coming up, priorities and stuff like that. And I really got into and dug into, it looks like we lost Jay Spence. I really got into and dug into just as far as like who's coming up and when, and who do we let go. So when you're talking about this question, the hard part about that 175 is the number was supposed to be, I think, 225 or 210, 215. So it's coming off like $35 million, which is a big number. So first things first, Edmonds is not necessarily going to get affected. Tremaine Edmonds they're going to pick up more than likely. My guess is his 5th-year option. Josh Allen, they're probably going to push him to a 5th-year option. There's an aspect of Tre'Davious White. I can't imagine a scenario, a world where Tre'Davious White is allowed to leave this football team. I mean, Trey loves Buffalo. That question was answered just a couple weeks ago. He put it out on Twitter. Nothing would be better than winning one for the 716. I mean, I don't know what more people need to see about Trey White. Now, when you're talking about guys like Milano, and Greg and I talked about it, and it's funny because everything Greg and I talked about almost changed or shifted just a little bit because of that $35 million. Now, the question is, with it coming off $35 million, they're going to push the $5 billion that they're expected to lose this year. They're going to push that into the next several years. So as much as it's coming out of $175 million for next year, what's it going to be the following year? And then what's it going to be the following? And then what we can't determine at this point is, salaries go up, right? Well, if salaries are going up, and then all of a sudden the salary cap comes down, well, are these salaries going to continue to go up, or does it turn into a situation where, well, you know what? We've only got 175, and Matt Milano, we think you're great. However, we're going to have to offer you a similar contract to what somebody got 2 years ago or 3 years ago when the cap was 175. And is Matt Milano willing to take that? I can't answer that question, but it's going to affect the future, and it's going to affect who we can retain, but it's not going to affect just us. It's going to affect everybody. Every team is going to be in the same boat. So if we can't afford a lot of these guys, the reality is a lot of other teams aren't going to be able to afford a lot of these guys, which means they might come back and they might take a lower contract, maybe a shorter term 2-year deal, and then like try to cash out 2 years after that. But it's definitely going to affect us. But if you get a chance, go back and listen to that podcast. Greg Thompson was on point. So yeah.
Yeah, Greg, great job. Shout out to Greg and those guys over at Cover One. They do a really good job with breaking down film and just that's family over there. That's family over there. But let's get back to the questions. We got a good one in here from actually going right back to what you're saying. They can use the 5th-year option on Edmonds too.
Yep.
I was supposed to look this up. Can you use it on multiple players?
Yes, you can. I asked Greg Thompson that same question. You can use it on Josh Allen. They can use it on Josh Allen and Edmonds the same year.
Well, I don't think they're going to use it on. Obviously, I think they're just going to give Josh that extension. They're not going to use the 5th year on Josh. You really think that's going to happen?
I have no idea, dude. I don't know. I mean, we've had a lot of conversation. We've played a lot of what if games over the last couple of weeks, as far as if this team makes the playoffs or misses the playoffs and Josh has a great year, versus Josh having a bad year and the team makes the playoffs, or Josh does what Bruce Nolan talks about, which doesn't progress, but he kind of plateaus. So does Josh Allen come out, and instead of throwing 3,700 or 3,800 yards, does he throw 3,200 yards or 3,300 yards? And does he, instead of throwing 20 or 36 touchdowns, does he throw 22 touchdowns? So it's improvement, but it's not great improvement. I'm on record as saying that if that happens, that like next year there's a competition. Like there's a competition in Buffalo for the starting quarterback. Now that doesn't necessarily mean he can't overcome it, but I'm not ready to be the one to necessarily say what is or is not going to happen, right? But they can use the 5th-year option. I don't know. I don't know. I can't imagine they're going to lock him up, both of them up prior to, but they could. And that's a great point, Cody. There's a lot of people that talk about Deion Dawkins. The hard part about that, so let Deion Dawkins walk. Matt Milano needs to be signed right now. The hard part, and this was a conversation that you and I have talked about, Spence, and Greg Thompson and I talked about as well. It's much harder to find a left tackle late in the first round. So if the Bills are what we think they are, and they're going to be making the playoffs, relatively every year, especially now that we're considering them to be AFC East favorites, they're going to be drafting in the bottom 6, right? Bottom 5, bottom 6. It's much easier to find an outside linebacker, off the ball linebacker, than it is to find a left tackle. And that's the decision that has to be made. Like left tackles in the first 5 picks are easy to find. Left tackles in the last 5 picks are not easy to find. So
not at all. Yeah. But I'm on the record for saying as well, our undrafted rookie Adams, I believe I really do think we have a diamond in the rough there. If he shows us something this year, man, honestly, I could really see him on my camera turned off. I can really see him. Yeah, I can really see him. Taking a role, proving himself on the roster, taking that role, and then actually allowing Deion to be expendable.
Yeah, I like Chris Janke's comment. The market for Milano won't be strong with the shrinking cap. I feel they will work out a fair deal for both sides, and it's going to come down to what It's always, and the piece that's missing from that, Chris, is it's always about the system situation. As much as we were talking about Jim Kelly, I firmly believe that Jim Kelly was not a system quarterback. That basically they found a system and Jim Kelly was able to just thrive in it. But I think Jim would have thrived. I mean, he didn't run that system as a Houston Gambler. So when he was in Houston, like he owned the USFL as an early quarterback, running the run and shoot. The question is about systems as it pertains to this defense. And is Matt Milano a system guy, or is he really a great player? If he believes he's a great player, if he believes that he's like the man, it's going to be harder for him to be like, you know what, I'm going to stick around. But stranger things have happened. But we've seen a lot of these players all throughout the NFL, not just for us. We've seen them all come in. We've signed those guys. We've signed the guys. Was it Darnell Dawkins, or is that what his name? Who's the big guard that we signed from Washington years ago? And we paid him like $35 million, and he just basically tanked when he got here. But regardless,
I just don't agree with this, though. I know you said it's an interesting point, but honestly, I think if really the coaches in the NFL and the scouts in the NFL, even though we feel like the media doesn't watch the Bills, all these coaches watch film on all of these teams, and they see these players. I don't think Matt Milano makes it back to Buffalo if we actually let him out in free agency. Period.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm totally in agreement as far as that goes. So yeah.
And you were talking about Derek Dockery.
Derek Dockery, that was the name. But you knew who I was, like, literally. I remember when we signed him, I was like, yes, and then it was like, oh, never mind. So yeah.
Elliot says Dawkins is also a captain and harder to replace, as Joe said. We love Milano, but I think we won't have to pay Milano as much. He's great, but I just don't see like I don't know, man. I don't want to let Milano go. I agree with you that it's harder to find a left tackle or a tackle at all. But definitely a left tackle.
Right.
But Milano, man, he's special. He's so special. And I know we drafted him late, so a lot of fans didn't have the same type of expectations because of where he was drafted. But even if you watch his film in college, this kid in college, in the NFL, he's doing the same thing he was doing in college. And he just slipped through the cracks. I don't know why and how, but listen, this guy is not – he's not like a – he's going to make money in free agency, I'm telling you.
The only thing you got to tell me and show me the tape on is the fact that this defense is different when Milano's not in there. And it just is. This defense, they rotate those defensive tackles like crazy. And we can say, good, bad, indifferent things about Star Lotulelei opting out. Excuse me. And however you feel about guys like Star versus Ed Oliver, who we're all in love with, or, Horrible Harry, Harrison Phillips, who we're all in love with. We could talk about these defensive tackles all day long. But the reality is Corey Liggett came in last year off the street. And performed in this defense. Matt Milano, when he's not playing, this defense looks different. It just looks different. It just is what it is. So,
yep. I saw a comment earlier. Obviously,
Dallas is going down, Gary.
This was in response to a question that I posted a second ago that actually said that Dallas is in trouble as far as the cap space. What we were talking about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. They are in rough shape.
You know who went down? The Dallas is going down. Gary guy went down.
Yeah, Gary went down. Gary went down, man. He had some love for a minute there, but he messed that up quick.
51 reasons why you don't let your son run your Twitter account. Good God. That's just a sidebar comment. So
I don't know why I keep seeing people say that not to let Micah Hyde walk. I might be crazy. Didn't we recently just extend him?
Poyer. We just extended Poyer. I can look it up. I don't know when his contract.
Are you sure? I'll look it up. You can do it. I mean, I just feel like we extended both of them because I remember people being, making all of these comments, and I'm like,
no, we only extended. I think Poyer came in on like a 3-year deal, and Hyde came in on a 4 or 5 year deal, and 2 years in or something like that, we extended Poyer like 3 more years, and I think Hyde is living on a 5-year. So Hyde's got a couple more years left. I could be wrong. I had it, like I said, I had it in my notes. I had it in the notes with. On the show that I did with Greg Thompson. The problem is when his contract comes up, I think he's going to be 32 or 33, which is old for a safety. Now, as much as they move a lot of, defensive backs, cornerbacks to the safety position when they get a little bit older, cornerback is a different skill set. Tre'Davious White is, far more, he's more of an athlete than Micah Hyde is, right? So, I mean, they're just different skill sets as far as that goes, but yeah. So,
but you're right though, too. It was a 5-year deal back in 2017. So, yeah, he has just a couple years left now.
You know what else I'm right about? Jim Kelly.
You're not, but that's okay. That's okay.
Why you don't love me? Why you don't love me? Hey, your camera's back.
Well, I guess I can't switch off the app when looking up stuff.
Don't you have a second? Yeah. Oh, you don't? I was saying I got a second computer. So let me know. I can look stuff up. So it's not that big of a deal. Here's what's up, though. Chat us up. So also, Super Chats get priority for those of you that may not know what that is. If you're watching us on Facebook or you're watching us on Twitter, you basically can't Super Chat us. You have to jump over to YouTube. And basically, I keep saying basically, it's not basically. If you Super Chat us, which you just throw in a couple bucks or whatever, or I see Rico get $100. If you want to throw us $100, I'll send you a birthday card. But if you Super Chat us, your chat or your question gets priority. But yeah, chat us up now. Smash that like. I think last time we left the show last week, we had, I think it was 244 likes because we had the snafu of how many likes do we really have right now? Because we couldn't actually see them live, which was funny. But yeah, smash that like. We got. I think there's like 90 people watching us right now, which is cool. So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Be a part of the show. Don't sit back and just take it in. Interact with the Bills Mafia that's in the chats. Talk to us, ask us questions. We're here for you. But we probably should get to Hyde and Poyer are getting older. We have Saron Neal coming up the ranks. Saron Neal doesn't impress me. That's just me. You can speak to it. Can swap a good free agent safety or trust McBean to draft a coach up a guy and replace them. Thoughts on that?
I agree that obviously we could draft, but here's the thing. Again, we're homers now. So I get that Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott have done well so far, and I'm not questioning them. I love them and I trust them. But here's the thing. Your expectations, like to say it that easily, oh yeah, we'll just draft another one like it's nothing. Listen, it's not that easy, man. Like, and I get it that these guys are good, but we have to stop being so like,
well,
you know what I mean?
Can we just start with the fact that we didn't draft Hyde and Poyer?
We didn't. It's not that easy. I'm telling you, if it was that easy to draft those guys, every team would have.
You know who we did draft?
You know who didn't want to come to them?
You know who doesn't want to leave?
I left.
Yes, you did. I did too for 13 years. Came back. So
he went here.
He did go there. He went to Houston, and then he was supposed to be New Jersey General for 1 year, but the league folded, so he ended up coming to Buffalo, which was sweet. So should we move on to what time is it? We've been live. What time is it? It's 9:06. Do we want to move on to the other topic, which is what we teased, which is still running as a ticker down at the bottom of the screen? Does Josh Allen winning one Super Bowl? I'd love to know what the fans think. Like I said, this garnered a lot of comments even before we started. So before the show went live, we had a bunch of comments.
I'll scroll back to the top and whistles back.
I want to know what you guys think. Does Josh Allen winning one Super Bowl change the legacy of Jim Kelly? So Jim Kelly going to 4 Super Bowls, and there's a lot at play. So your mind can wander all over the place. So, as it pertains to how he wins or what the score is, or is he the reason that they win, right? I mean, but that's the question of the day. Does Josh Allen winning one Super Bowl change the legacy of Jim Kelly? And
this comment here, I don't think that I don't think Josh needs to win 4. I just think he needs to win 1. As much as we love those guys from the 90s, we love them because yes, they made it to the big game 4 times. We love them because for the most part during that time they were extremely dominant.
Right. If
the Bills win 1 Super Bowl with Josh Allen, I don't think y'all have seen what love is. The city of Buffalo is going to make this guy Josh Allen. Like,
I think it depends. I think
really?
if Josh Allen wins a Super Bowl with the Buffalo Bills and his stat line is 189 yards passing and 75 yards rushing, and he's got 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, I don't think it's Josh Allen love at that point.
I don't know, because I see Josh Allen, he might have an off game, but I guarantee you he's not going to have an off season to get us there. So if Josh Allen is the leader in order to get to the Super Bowl, there's no way Josh Allen had 189 yards. No, that's what I'm saying. That's
not why I'm wincing, because I don't understand. That comment makes a ton of sense. I get it, but you don't apply the same logic to Jim Kelly, who owned the NFL as a quarterback in the 90s.
That's where I disagree with you.
But he lost the last game of the season, therefore he gets way too much credit for what he does.
But see, I disagree with you. And this is what the topic is about. I disagree about the type of credit that Jim Kelly gets, because I feel like we just give him too much credit for things that other people did. What I'm saying is, at this point where Josh Allen is in his career, there's no way that if he makes it to the Super Bowl, he's going to have a horrible season and then just have like if he has a bad game in the Super Bowl, but he leads us to the Super Bowl and we win it, I'm telling you, the love will be there. The love is there for Jim Kelly losing it 4 times. So, of course, it's going to be there for Josh if he wins it once.
Right, for sure. And this is a good one. So, I know you're at the top, so I'll be at the bottom. No, Chris Yankee says, no, it won't. As much as we hate that they never won, it's still hard to be that consistently good and make it to 4 straight years or 4 years straight. Still an accomplishment on its own. And what gets lost in this is the fact that the 2 years before they went to the Super Bowl, they went to the AFC Championship game, lost to Cleveland, and then they lost to the Bengals in the playoffs the next year in '89, and then they went to 4 straight. That team was dominant for a very, very long time. For me, I'm not necessarily sure that I don't think that Josh winning 1 Super Bowl affects Jim Kelly's legacy. I think Jim Kelly will still always be a hometown hero. He will always be that guy that didn't want to come to Buffalo, finally came to Buffalo, turned this franchise into something it had never been before, took it to 4 straight Super Bowls, and on the day that he retired from the NFL, stood at the podium and cried his eyes out and said, Buffalo will always be my home. I mean, there's a redemption quality to that story that we as Bills fans, it just connects with us because we are Western New Yorkers, Buffalo. It's funny because like I was talking with somebody today. It's amazing to me that I was having coffee today with a friend, and it's amazing to me that people that are from Buffalo, Western New Yorkers, love Buffalo and hate New York State. Think about that for a second. People that are from Buffalo love Buffalo with all of our hearts. We will go to the mat and come to blows, and like we'll fight the entire neighborhood in Arizona if you speak bad words about Buffalo. But if you want to talk about New York State, we all hate New York State, which is interesting. So there's a redemption quality. There's something about being, and that's where that underdog spirit comes from. There's something about being from Buffalo and just knowing at the end of the day that this guy did, like, he's choosing us now. And he never left. So I think there's something about, so Jim, that legacy will always live on. Now, this is the caveat. If Josh wins 2 Super Bowls or goes to 2 and or goes to 3 and wins 2, you're talking about a different conversation. And what's funny about this is, and I don't think about it often, but I have thought about it, is the Brett Favre versus Aaron Rodgers conversation. Like, Brett Favre was an unbelievable quarterback. Brett Favre was like insanely good. And if I loved Brett Favre, I love Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know that I would have an easy time as a Bills fan picking Favre over Rodgers. I'm not exactly sure which one I would take over the other. And I think that's literally where it would put us. It would, as much as they wouldn't be back to back like Favre and Rodgers were, there's still going to be I'm not sure. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to find a lot of the younger fans who have not seen a winning Buffalo Bills team except for the last couple of years in their entire lives latching onto Allen the way that old fans like me have latched onto Jim Kelly. But that's just what I think.
Like Rodney just said, he said millennials, I would more so say just younger people don't care about the past. Joshua B. King. And that's what I'm saying. And so, like, I agree. I understand.
Wait. Young people don't care about the past, but the Dolphins fans do. Am I right, Kevin? Or am I right?
Oh, my God. Dolphins, like, don't get me started with
in 1972 we were undefeated. Yeah, and you weren't born for 15 1972.
But
it's like a Browns fan thumping their chest about the championships they won in 1935. It's like, this isn't working, bro. Just stop.
Yeah, that's like Bills fans if we wanted to go back about the games that we won in the AFL. Like, it's not the same thing. Like, those championships are not Super Bowls.
Yep. Zach Allen's, I mean, I agree, Zach. I mean, that's 1 Super Bowl win is bigger than 4 losses. It's more, that's why I tagged on all the stuff that I said. There's more about the Jim Kelly story than just the 4 Super Bowls are the 4 Super Bowls, but there's so much more to that story about Jim than just the 4 Super Bowls. Right?
Yeah, but again, I keep going back to, like, so I get your point is what I'm saying. Like, I fully understand it, but I'm just saying, I really think because we haven't won one, we can't really say how it's going to be. I guarantee you, if the Bills win a championship with Josh Allen as quarterback, I'm not saying Jim Kelly will be forgotten. Saying Super Bowl is no, but what I'm saying, because we're talking about the 4 Super, and you're like, no, it's not going to be enough. He has to go to 2 and maybe go to 3 and win 2 or something. If Josh Allen wins 1 Super Bowl and never goes again, Josh Allen is going to have a statue. He's going to be worshipped.
I don't know about that.
If the first quarterback to Super Bowl in Buffalo won't have a statue, you're crazy.
Jack Kemp doesn't have a statue. Here's so I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. He doesn't. I'm not crazy about that. Jack Kemp does not have a statue in Buffalo.
I'm talking about if Josh wins a Super Bowl.
Here's the reality. And my wife makes fun of me for this all the time. I've got 2 little girls. And so for those of you that have done personality tests and are into like leadership things, I'm an INTJ, so I'm an NT. High INTJ. I'm an Enneagram 8, so I'm a challenger. I don't cry. I'm extremely detached from my emotions, so much so that when I had my 2 little girls, I didn't cry when they were born. Have they softened me? Yes. My 2 girls have softened, and I'm going somewhere with this, so just be patient. My 2 girls have softened me tremendously, but I did not cry when they were born. When my 2 daughters were born, I was busy counting fingers and toes and making sure that they were breathing versus, like, you know, some people talk about like, oh, the baby came out and like, I just wept. That wasn't me. Here's the reality. I love Jim Kelly. I'm wearing the dude's jersey. I'm a 90s Bills kid. Like I said, they defined my childhood. When Josh Allen wins a Super Bowl as a Buffalo Bill, I'm going to weep. And my wife knows it. Like, I'm going to cry. I'm going to stand in the living room unless I'm there at the game. And when the parade happens, I'm going to cry again because there's so much of my identity that's wrapped up into this stupid football team that, like, and I'm not the only one. You're going to cry. Pierre's going to cry. Rico's going to cry.
Oh, yeah,
everybody that's on here, we're all going to be crying.
We'll all be at the game crying.
Buffalo's going to burn. Like the city is going to burn the night that the Buffalo Bills win the Super Bowl. Go ahead. What's the say?
We're all going to be there crying though. But let's see. He says, Tony says, yep, you'll be telling the grandkids to gather around and tell the story of Josh or the legend of Josh Allen for the night before the Super Bowl.
Twas the night before the Super Bowl, and the 90s Bills were all drunk.
The 90s Bills were all drunk. There are stories that we hear about the 90s Bills and certain leaders that you seem to think, was that leader, but they were drunk.
Oh, so now you're blaming everybody. Now you're blaming everybody being drunk on Jim Kelly. So everybody being drunk before the football game was Jim Kelly's fault.
I heard stories about Jim Kelly being hungover at halftime. I heard stories. I can't say it's true.
I've heard stories about Santa Claus too, but I don't know what to tell you. So no fat man in a red suit comes to my house on Christmas Eve. So, and if kids, if you're listening, I'm just kidding. There is a Santa Claus. So.
No, there's no Santa Claus. There's no Santa Claus. Joe, I see
you gave up on that camera.
Yeah, I'm just gonna switch to the other one. Sorry, guys, you won.
The good news is you're attractive. So as an attractive guy, like when your camera freezes, at least you're good looking, right? So.
Although I don't think that I am, but
what is that mustard yellow Bills hat? Like what in the world?
This is it's a 101. I have my man Tyrod on the brim and it's signed.
My daughter's trying to blow me up on my phone. Like she's calling me over and over and over again.
I got some pretty decent stuff. I got some this is my favorite when we play against the Dolphins fans though. It's my absolute favorite. He doesn't look like Sway. Who is Sway? You talking about Sway from Sway in the Morning? I don't want to look like Sway.
I don't know who Sway is. Dude, Rodney.
He has a radio show.
I thought that said Rodney Harrison. I was like, bro, Rodney Harrison is watching us on YouTube.
Like, yo, Rodney, I'm sending you a link right now. Jump on. I'm sending you a link, man.
All he's going to do is trash the Bills. He's going to tell us how bad we are and that they're not going to win anything.
Well, hey, I would take the guess. It's okay.
I would take the guest. I'd like to get Sean Merriman on the show. Wouldn't that be amazing? Sean Merriman, Sean Merriman is like the quintessential. All Bills fans hated him until he put on a Bills uniform. Like, remember that? Like, and he had that one amazing preseason game, and then that was it. And he's still a Bills fan, which is cool. So, what's going on? Give us some questions. I feel like we're powering down a little bit now that my daughter's
talking. Yeah, send us some good questions, guys. I know we already talked about the Josh Allen, Jim Kelly debate, but let's get some different topics in here.
Elliot agrees with you, bro. Elliot agrees with you.
I feel like everybody honestly will agree with me when it happens. Like right now, you're saying this because you've experienced going 4 times.
You're so humble.
I am. I honestly am, and I
feel like everybody agrees with me.
No, I said you will once this happens, because here's the thing: if we win one Super Bowl, I guarantee you, I'm not saying we're going to forget the past about the 90s, but the celebration of one championship, come on, man.
I admitted to you on the air for thousands of people to see that I'm going to cry. What do you want from me?
I want you to admit that a Super Bowl victory is better than 4 Super Bowl losses.
A Super Bowl victory is better than 4 Super Bowl losses. Yes, but that's not the question. That's not the conversation. A Super Bowl victory does not erase the accomplishments and achievements of the greatest quarterback to ever don a Buffalo Bills jersey. This quarterback right here. Josh Allen has a ways to go to eclipse the accomplishments of Jim Kelly as it pertains. And then we had this conversation in the chat too. One Super Bowl is greater than everything. Yeah. But Jim Kelly is a Hall of Famer. And that is the greatest personal accomplishment you can have. A Super Bowl is not a personal accomplishment. Going to the Hall of Fame, going to Pro Bowls and going to the Hall of Fame, Josh Allen also has never gone to a Pro Bowl. So there's personal accomplishments, team accomplishments. Super Bowl is a team accomplishment.
Because that's a different debate. Pro Bowls are a popularity contest. In the 90s, the Bills were probably the most popular team in the AFC, other than like Miami because of Marino. Like there's a couple. I'm not saying that like they were but they were one of the most popular teams, especially after going to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row. So Jim Kelly was popular. He's gonna go to the Pro Bowl. Jalen, right now, the team that we have in Buffalo, how many Pro Bowlers do we really have every year? We were lucky when Shady went, and it's only because he was shady before he got here, and everybody still knew him to be shady. But we have certain players every year that will come in here. They might not be like literally top 5 in the league in certain statistics, but we have top players on our teams. Maybe not 50, but literally we'll have 1 or 2 sprinkled in, and they don't get the recognition that they deserve. And so what I'm saying is you can't compare like Pro Bowls and Player of the Week and all that stuff when it comes down to popularity.
Cody Finney, I'd love that. I'm in, bro. I'm in.
No.
No.
He had his chance in the 90s. He had 4 chances to get his ring. He's retired. Love you, Jim, but no, he's retired.
That's so funny. No, I love it. We go to 1 Super Bowl, sign Jim Kelly to a 1-day contract. Yep. Actually put him on the coaching staff. He doesn't have to do that. Put the boy on the coaching staff.
Exactly, Corey.
And Pierre, we are from 2 different eras, but I'm from the era that's right, just so you know. So
see, that's what happens with these baby boomers. Are you a baby boomer?
Do you want me to come through this phone, through this computer right now and punch you in the face?
Hey, yeah, I knew Joe's not a baby boomer. I just wanted to get a reaction out of him.
Gen X, baby. Gen X.
But Corey said, T.O. got the key to the city before playing a single snap. If Josh wins the Super Bowl, they might rename the city after him. This is what I'm saying. Like, I'm telling you, Buffalo, we just have like a jaded memory. We forget everything when we get comfortable in something new. Like when T.O. got here as a free agent, before he even signed a snap, you had the mayor out there all excited about him coming. You had the new, like, it was so different.
It wasn't, it wasn't, T.O. coming to Buffalo was a nice day, but it wasn't when Drew Bledsoe came to Buffalo. It wasn't, Drew Bledsoe coming to Buffalo was
a big deal.
It was a huge
right. So
deal.
Again,
it was the second coming of Jim Kelly. So we thought. Now
imagine the energy that's going to happen that Sunday night in February when Josh Allen is raising the Lombardi Trophy, standing next to Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. You don't think Buffalo is going to literally Buffalo? Listen, man, come on. I can't with you tonight, Joe. Like this is the first time I really just disagree with you.
You're pounding me into the ground on what the conversation, the argument is not. You're pounding me in the ground on how excited Bills fans are going to be if Josh Allen hoists the Lombardi. It's true, we are, but it does not negate the legacy of Jim Kelly.
I never said it's going to negate the legacy.
That's the question at the bottom. The question.
That's what you typed, but that's not the question that I originally posed in the group or on Twitter earlier.
What's the original question? What's the question?
The original question was, do we give him too much credit for not winning? Or actually, the way I worded the question was, do we give Jim Kelly too much credit for having won the same amount of Super Bowls as Josh Allen? That was the original question. He hasn't won any. So how are we giving him so much credit for being such a great...
Y'all need to help a brother out. Help me out here.
No, I don't.
Not you. I mean the people, the fans, need to help me out. Jim Kelly has the same amount of Super Bowls as Josh Allen and Trent Edwards and J.P. Lossman and Kelly Holcomb. What's John say?
If Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl, he'll surpass without question.
Without
question.
What if?
Listen, a Super Bowl is the ultimate goal.
This is timeout, not a technical foul. Timeout.
It's a tech.
Josh Allen this year or next year. Josh Allen in the next 2 years wins the Super Bowl as a Buffalo Bills quarterback. You can get there any way that you want. So they don't make the playoffs this year, or they do, and then they win next year, or they win this year, they don't make it next year. Then Josh Allen leaves in free agency and goes to Miami and signs a $185 million contract. Still better than gets more accolades than Jim Kelly.
Yeah,
you are full of
no. I'm
there
telling
is
you,
no dude. People still 25 years later hold a grudge against Thurman Thomas for signing with the Dolphins for 1 year. And Thurman told you on your show the reason that he did it was because he didn't even get a phone call. He saw it on ESPN ticking along the bottom like that. Thurman Thomas was cut from the Bills today. That's why he went to the Dolphins. And
I don't see any Bills fans giving him grief about that. I see Bills fans saying, I don't want to see pictures and video. No, I'm saying I don't see it. I believe you. Dude, I don't see it. I see people saying that they don't want to see, even when I did the show, I put a video of Thurman from Miami. And people were like, oh, man, you just had to play the video. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. So I don't hear people saying Thurman, he should have never I don't hear that. I hear them saying, God, I don't want to see those pictures again. I don't want to see those videos.
This is right up there with the whole concept or idea that Joe Burrow is somehow a better quarterback than Josh Allen right now. Can we let the kid play it down? Like, Josh Allen needs to finish his career before we decide. We need to find out if Josh Allen needs to play a career of football before we decide. Josh Allen could win a Super Bowl as a Buffalo Bill and then turn into Mark Rippon and suck and be cut 2 years later. You're not telling me that Josh Allen is more beloved than Jim Kelly if that happens. It's just not true. People
if Josh
forget.
Allen wins a Super Bowl. If he wins a Super Bowl, he will be forever loved in Buffalo.
Not if he starts sucking Brad Johnson. I mean, Trent Dilfer, Jeff Hostetler. Like, I can go on and on with quarterbacks that won Super Bowls that like weren't great quarterbacks. Like, Trent Dilfer is not beloved in Baltimore. Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl 6 years ago, and people in Baltimore hate the dude.
First of all, Baltimore has won Super Bowls. I'm talking about the first Super Bowl. You're bringing up stuff that's not relevant.
That would be Trent Dilfer.
Super Bowls.
That would be Trent Dilfer.
Okay.
Trent Dilfer is not loved in Baltimore.
It's also Baltimore is not you're not comparing the same stuff, Joe. Baltimore also isn't the city who had to go to 4 straight Super Bowls and never won. And then 2 decades later, finally win with the quarterback. I'm saying with what Buffalo has been through, if Josh Allen wins a Super Bowl, there will be nobody How about if Josh has an Eli Manning type career? He's beloved in New York. Are you kidding me? They were ready for him to sit down.
I wouldn't know.
No, they were ready for him to sit down, but they loved him. Thank you, Tony. Yo, who is this Tony guy? Are you on Twitter, Tony? I need to follow you. Me and you need to be friends. This isn't true?
It's true. I said it. Was it last week? I said it just a couple weeks ago that I've never seen a situation where an opposing team quarterback came into our stadium and got a standing ovation before the game. That happened last year.
And you think if Josh wins a Super Bowl and then goes somewhere else in free agency that he won't be beloved still? You're tripping, man. People are going to love Josh Allen to the day that he dies and after. His legend. Come on.
Right there it is.
I'm just saying.
I can't get it to come up. Somehow, like, why wouldn't that pop
Which
up?
Which one? Buffalo, Baltimore?
There it goes.
Oh, yeah. I clicked it. You must have took it off when I hit it.
Oh, yeah. We must have clicked at the same time. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, yeah, Buffalo definitely has the on to the next mentality. Josh wins one and then starts sucking. We'll be campaigning to get rid of him.
Dude,
I don't believe that.
Dude, here's a fun situation. Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl, right? So this year, Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl this year. The Bills come out next year and stink up the place, which has happened. There's been championship teams that have fallen off the year after they win a Super Bowl. It's happened. It's a very, very common story. So Josh Allen regresses. The team doesn't play well. In the meantime, Jake Fromm has a fantastic preseason next year. Right? And people see it. Josh gets hurt that year that he kind of regresses. He comes out, wins 2 games for the Bills. There's a quarterback controversy in Buffalo, and people are running that dude out of town. Running him out of town. And you know it's true. So where is the legacy and the folklore at that point? It's back to Jim Kelly.
I feel like we're saying this because we haven't won. When you win, winning negates so much stuff, man. Josh is going to be...
I think the biggest you keep using you've used several times the homerism conversation, and Kevin in the chat talks about the homer goggles. You know what the homer goggles are? The homer goggles are the assumption that we as Bills fans have that somehow Josh Allen is going to have the same career that Jim Kelly had, which means that like Josh Allen is the next coming. So he's going to win a bunch of games and go to championships and have a chance to play in the Super Bowl. There's a chance that Josh Allen may never win a playoff game. Right? I mean,
there's a chance. He hasn't won yet. So yeah.
There's a chance that he could win a Super Bowl in 7 years as the Bills quarterback after a career of mediocrity like Joe Ferguson. I mean, Joe Ferguson didn't win a Super Bowl, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he could be mediocre. I don't know. I think there's just this. I'm Team Joe Spence.
Well, he asked whose team again. So he threw it out there. So yeah, we'll ask you guys. Throw it in the comments. Let us know whose team are you on here.
Look, Dad. You have to pick one of us. You can't pick both of us. One of us has to be your favorite.
He said, "Nope, I don't have a favorite."
Mom and Dad have a favorite. We know it's true. Right there, Cody Finney is like, dude, I love you, bro. I love you. Like this guy. Like we're gonna
listen.
yeah.
I do have to show this though because this comment has been posted 47 times. Thank God I'm not the only one who thinks Peyton Manning is the greatest quarterback of all time.
He is.
He is. Okay, we agree. That's why I haven't brought it up, but you keep posting.
Yeah, no, it's true, Artie. And the reality is, for me, if I'm putting Tom Brady and I'm putting Peyton Manning in a contest between who's the greatest quarterbacks of all time, the argument is going to come back to not how many Super Bowls Tom Brady won, because we all know that the head coach that Tom Brady had is the greatest head coach who's ever coached football. Period. End of story. What it comes back to me to, or what it comes back to me for. Did I say that right? Whatever. What I have to come back to is the season that Peyton Manning didn't play, his team went 1-15. The season that Tom Brady didn't play, his team went 12-4. And that literally is where it comes back to for me. Like we'll have to. I'm Team Peyton all day long.
I'm actually excited to see Tom down in Tampa Bay this year, just because of what you just said. It's like it's one of those things where you watch him and it's like, oh, that guy is good. But then when you think about it, like you said, the coach is really good too. The system is really good, and it's like when he was injured. Granted, I'm not saying at all that the other quarterbacks look like Tom, but they still won games and they still performed. So it's one of those things. I'm actually excited to see how he performs down there in Tampa Bay with a whole new coach, a whole new offensive coordinator, and new, other than Gronk now, but new receivers.
I got bad news for you. Tom Brady is going to a head coach that loves to throw the football all over the field, and he's got real weapons. I
don't think Tom Brady's arm is as strong as it was now. Like, honestly, looking at it last year, he just didn't have that zip.
I don't think it needs to be. And I think he was chucking the ball into the dirt because he was so afraid to get hit. I don't think he's going to have that problem. Dude, there's all kinds of people blowing this thing up, Team Joe. That's what I already knew. We said. Oh, he finds the one. He finds the one team.
No, because of the hoodie. No, because of the hoodie. I wanted to shout out. I wanted to shout out my guy Mark. That's the only reason why I picked that one because. Gotcha. So Mark Maddox, the former Buffalo Bills player, Saturdays. If you guys are interested, every Saturday lately he's been doing bingo. I will post it on Twitter so you can, if you want to get involved, you can. Mm-hmm. It's so much fun. He has special guests this weekend. I don't know if I can tell who it is, but I'm going to tell you it's a special. Actually, I'm going to just tell you. If I get in trouble, Mark, I'm sorry. They're going to have Eric Mose this Saturday and Steve Christie next Saturday. So it's going to be a couple good guests. It's $20 per bingo board, but you get to FaceTime with these guys and you have conversations. They tell good stories and you have some fun. I won this 2 weeks ago on the show. So it's a really good time. So I'll make sure I put that up there. Both make some good points.
You're dead to me. On Spencer. You're dead to me, Pierre. Dead to me. I'm gonna have to reach out to Cover One or Rumblings to see if they're looking for talent. I'm jumping ship. I'm jumping ship, baby. I'm jumping.
You got one here too, Joe versus any other guy. That's cool. That's cool.
Joe versus.
But you know what? Before we had this show, though, I actually told Joe, because of the love that Buffalo Bills fans really have for their team, and because of the way we love our players, I knew I wasn't gonna win this debate in the fans' eyes. But when Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl, I would really actually, you know what? I'm going to save this. I'm going to download this whole thing after it's done, and I'm going to save it. So when Josh wins, this is the first video I'm going to post. It's me telling you that I'm going to be right.
Great, because the only debate that I kind of quasi lost to you ever was about Kirk Cousins, and then somebody showed up with receipts of you posting a Twitter thing is what's it going to take to get Kirk Cousins to the Buffalo Bills. So
didn't I send that to you though? I'm like,
so I think I won that debate too.
No, you didn't. You didn't. Just because Viking fans are on your side. Anytime that Viking fans are on your side, you're not winning. I'm just telling you. That's an L.
I love Richard Rush. Richard Rush is the man. This is good. Zach Allen. I agree with you, Zach. Spence is the man. He's one of my besties. He's one of my BFFs. Thank you, Zach.
We appreciate that. And I appreciate you, Joe. I have fun doing this stuff with Joe. Joe's awesome.
I try.
It wasn't a low blow, Pierre, because the thing is, like I said, I was fully prepared for it. I literally found the tweet before somebody else could do it, and I screenshotted it, and I sent it to Joe, and I said, I really don't have a problem with Cousins. Vikings fans just get on my nerves.
There it is. Which one did you just pull one up? Thanks for pimping the bingo game, Spence. Oh.
Yeah.
No, the one above it. Kelly's legend, his legacy will never take a hit. I agree. I mean,
but you know what? That wasn't the debate though, and because I do see that those comments keep coming up. I've never said that Kelly's legacy was going to take a hit. What I'm saying is, if Josh Allen wins one, Like the love that we have for Jim Kelly won't even be comparable to the way they're going to love on Josh Allen. That's what I'm talking about.
It's a time thing too. I mean, the amount of time that it's been since, Jim has played football. So this is great. I see this because if you follow Mike Zimmer's ears, who's it's gone now. Mike Zimmer's ears, who is a Vikings fan and a Bills fan. Like people are in his mentions all the time, blowing up the Bills. And it's funny because they are salty. Like Vikings fans are super duper salty about the Buffalo Bills. We are living rent free in their heads, and it's awesome. Is anyone over 35 on Spence? What's that mean?
So the debate that we're having, anybody over the age of 35, are you on my side? So is there anybody over the age of 35 who thinks that if Josh Allen wins a Super Bowl, that the love for him would be something that we haven't seen, at all in Buffalo?
Somebody get me Rico's bell. Ring my bell. He was singing that the other night when he got that $100 super chat. He was singing "Ring My Bell." It was amazing.
Rico's hilarious, man. And then here's another. We got a couple over 35 who's in agreement with me about the love that Josh Allen will get.
All three of them.
That's fine. But Cody's 27 and he agrees with you. So that's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily think it's an age thing, but I also do think that it depends on how you fell in love with the team too. That to me, that makes a difference. If you fell in love during a time when those guys in the 90s or even before that, and then you kind of fell into those guys, or if you fell in love after. Because for me, I was a kid when the guys were going to the Super Bowl. I liked football, but I was a kid. So really, I liked it because my grandfather and my father liked it. When I really got to the point where I started to love football, my favorite player on the Bills team when I started to love the team was Doug Flutie.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I fell in love with the Bills when it was a completely different roster. So no, I don't look at it through the same lens, but I do appreciate Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Brooke, all those guys. I appreciate them for the legacy, the 4 Super Bowls. I'm not the fan that's embarrassed when I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, you guys never won 4 out of 4." I'm not embarrassed. I'm like, that's an accomplishment.
So Tony B says, I'm 46, and I love Kelly, but Allen will be king. The problem that I have with this statement is what I said. We just don't know what Allen's going to do with the rest of his career. If Allen washes out of Buffalo, even after winning a Super Bowl, I just don't see it. So I just don't see it. It's like the Jordan LeBron debate. Once LeBron is done, the fans will be young enough to not really have the same passion towards Jordan. LeBron is not the GOAT. It's Michael Jordan. I'm 47 years old, and I watched a lot of Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player to ever play basketball. Hands
I'm going to tell y'all,
down.
I'm a huge LeBron fan. Like, I'm a huge LeBron fan. I'm a huge Lakers fan. Jordan is the GOAT, man. Like, it just is what it is. If you've watched the documentary, even if you haven't, just go on YouTube and watch, just watch Jordan. There's not a debate. Kelly is not Jordan. Let's not compare this debate to the Jordan. No, you know what I'm saying? Let's not compare it like that. It's not. Because I think Allen will surpass Kelly. I do.
It's apples and oranges. I mean, even when we say Peyton Manning is not, is the greatest quarterback of all time. I mean, Peyton is not Jordan. Jordan there was something about the way that dude played basketball, and he would just take over games. It's probably more relevant. A Gretzky comparison would probably be a little more relevant. One guy on a smaller team that's just basically taking over everything, which is what Jordan did. Jordan was just otherworld. I steer away from those LeBron versus Jordan debates because you can't win because you're fighting with a bunch of people that never watched Jordan play. And it's just like, how do you know? Anyway, yeah.
Wait a minute.
Just moving on.
Is Rico even in the chat? I haven't seen Rico. Have you seen Rico?
I don't know, Caitlin,
who's Team Rico tonight? Why are we talking about Rico?
Because I started singing "Ring My Bell." So
no,
she's just showing him some love. So
y'all tell Rico. Hold on, y'all tell Rico to come on here sometime. I got some heat for him, and he's been running from me. Y'all tell Rico to come on the Hump Day Hotline so I can show him in front of Caitlin who's the man.
So Rico is, Rico is the man. He's the OG. He's the OG, but here we go. I'm not going to say nothing now. you and I are about to get run out of town. Actually, you're already out of town. I'm about to get run out of town. Rico, bingity bing bing bing. So I think we're just hanging around with Rico's people right now. Like,
yeah.
What did Pierre say? Kobe Bryant is he's close, but he's not the GOAT.
He's close. He's top 5 for me, and I'm a Lakers fan.
Absolutely true. If Spence is right about Josh Allen, that's the reason right there. That's the reason. If Josh is right about Spence is right about Josh Allen, that's the reason, because the memory thing. So, in my opinion, that's just my opinion.
Well, no, I mean, and that's a good that's a good way to look at it. I guess my argument though isn't about the buy. What I'm saying is, even let's just take away the recency. Like let's just say we're 10, 20 years down the line, and then we come back and look at it after Josh wins.
Right.
What I'm saying is the one win will be weighted. It will just mean so much more than the 4 losses. That's what I'm saying.
So we haven't had a super chat in a while. When do you want to wrap this thing up? It's 9:39. So we have eclipsed the hour mark, and at some point, I think we're just hamsters on a hamster wheel, if you know what I'm saying. What you got up there? I do think Allen will surpass Kelly, but it will take more than one Super Bowl to do it. I'm with Big Tim.
I just don't understand how 4 losses would need more than 1 win. I just don't get that, man. And y'all think I'm a Kelly hater. I'm not. I love the guys.
It was more than 4 losses. It was more than that. It was more than 4 losses. I mean, they were the winningest team in the 90s. He made the Hall of Fame. Like, it's even if Josh wins a Super Bowl, it's not a guaranteed Hall of Fame ballot. I mean, it's right. I mean, there's a lot to it. So there's a lot to it. O.J. Simpson is the GOAT. Don't at me.
I wouldn't debate you, but I don't want people yelling at me today. So
yeah. I'll steer clear of that one as well.
Yeah.
So do we want to wrap this thing up? So just so everybody knows, my name is Joe Miller, and you can find me on Twitter. How do we kill all this stuff? So get rid of it. Oh no, and then we just got a super chat. Throw it up there. This is what happens every time. We can't get away. We just can't get away. Appreciate it.
Love the show. Thanks, Joshua. I don't know if you like to be called Josh, so I'll call you Joshua. Thank you.
Yeah, dude, for real. And we love the interaction. So that's probably, as much as I love doing a podcast, and I know Spence does as well. And for those of you that have not listened to my podcast or Spence's podcast, we enjoy like that part of the content. But the fact that there's an opportunity to interact with you guys is like, it's otherworld, like the real time conversation. I wish that we could get you guys on the show somehow. It would be tremendously awesome, but obviously this is somewhat limited. So what else you got going there? Is that Cardinelli or Cardinale? Based on talent, it will take a lot for Josh to be declared better than Jim, but hero status will come if Josh wins the Super Bowl. It's true. I'm not saying it's not true. I just don't know that Jim's legacy is tarnished unless Josh is going to have to do more to eclipse. And that's like I said, that's the Rodgers-Favre debate. I don't know that Rodgers has eclipsed Favre in Green Bay. He may have when he won his first Super Bowl, there may have been a ton of love for him. But now that the years have droned on a little bit, like I'm not sure that Rodgers has eclipsed Favre in Green Bay.
See, that's interesting. I would have to. I have some friends that actually live in Wisconsin. I want to ask, because the thing is, outside looking in, it looks the way they loved Favre in that city was different. You know what I mean? Like, sure. And I feel like they appreciate Aaron Rodgers for his talent, his pinpoint accuracy, his leader. Like they appreciate him, but I just feel like the connection to the city was completely different for Brett.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree totally. So we're getting a lot of fanfare for Rico. So we're gonna have to get Rico on the show. So
yeah, and just for the record too, I know I'm joking, but I love Rico. I love all my guys. Listen, support the entire Buffalo Fanatics roster. We have hot topics coming at you every single day. We keep adding talent. We got some good stuff coming, and the season's coming. So we're about to be in the mode for it. So I'm telling you, if you like the topics now and you think how they are, you think they're going well, when the season gets here, Hump Day Hotline is especially going to be hot. The Rico Report is going to especially be hot. Those Bills guys is going to, everybody. So really support all my guys, man.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows that the Hump Day Hotline is going to have a little bit of a different feel in season, because we're going to be talking about things that went right and wrong on Sunday, and then we're going to take the rest of the show to talk about and take questions just about what we think is going to happen in a preview sense for the week coming. So it'll be far more interactive even than it is now, and obviously we'll be fielding questions, which should be fun. And maybe we can throw some fantasy stuff in there too, which I got to pay you for your fantasy league still that you invited me to. I haven't done that yet. Oh my gosh, my daughter's calling me again.
I feel like somebody just said, I feel like the legend of Rico will eclipse Josh. Jim Kelly. Rico has fans, man.
He casts a big shadow. He is casting a huge shadow. That's so funny. That's funny. Rico got me here. What's that say? But I love you all guys except Judge.
Give my man Judge some love, man.
That's hilarious. Oh,
don't worry, Steve. Elliot. We're gonna get an actual hotline. It's coming. I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to make it happen by the time the season gets here. So one more month, and I'm hoping that we're able to have the interaction live on the show.
Yeah.
And if not, what I can actually do, I have an idea, Joe. We might talk about that after.
What's your idea? Give it to me now, brother.
Well, my idea is because we can have guests on here. I would say like the week. So, for instance, like now we're looking at comments. The people who super chat, if we can invite them in as a guest on the show during the season.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Super chatters, yeah. The person who super chats the most during an episode will have you as a guest on the next show.
Could be dangerous. Like it could be like they might. It could be one of two things. They could be horrible, like totally freeze up on air and just be like, or they could be like awesome, and then they kick one of us off the show. Like, hey, we want that guy, so Joe, you're gone, right? So you never know. Although I think Rico might take our spot.
I'm just saying, I think we can afford a phone. I think Joe just doesn't want his number out. I think that's what it is.
Well, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm not as popular, so nobody want to call me anyway.
Oh,
but listen, guys.
Do we want to go there?
We had so much fun. Kyler over. Do you want to go there?
No, I don't want to go there. I feel like yeah.
Well, we'll go there real quick. So in the chat, guys, in the Buffalo Fanatics chat, we've been having these debates probably for the last like 4 weeks, literally, about Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and just different quarterbacks who really Steve feels like he could pick over Josh Allen at this point. The worst topic or the worst one that he chose was Joe Burrow in everybody's opinion because he hasn't played a snap.
That is not the worst. Trevor Lawrence Trevor Lawrence has a year of college left.
Right, yeah. I forgot about it. But
can the kid get through college first?
Right. When he's ready, I feel like Steve's going to do the same thing again next year. He's going to like Steve, he says he loves Josh and he's a Bills fan. I just don't know, man.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
The legend of Judge Mathis. I love it, dude. I love the fact that he's building a following. I love the fact that he's not afraid to bring some takes that might not necessarily be popular, even if I don't agree with him. And the reality is I do the same thing and you do the same thing. And Steve is the man. I appreciate Steve. I appreciate the way his mind works. I got mad love. I got mad love for him. So that's just a personal thing. To know Steve is to love Steve. Absolutely. So he's the man. And the energy he brings too is just like off the charts. So
yeah, he definitely has some takes that a lot of people don't agree with. But what I'm learning is too, since I've started doing these shows, when you have those takes like that, you have to stand firm on them because the amount of people who will try to change your voice or change your opinion. For instance, my Cam Newton take. Everybody in Buffalo disagreed with me, but every other show that I've been on as a guest from outside of Buffalo
disagrees.
Well, that's fine. But there's so many people outside of Buffalo. I've been a guest on shows lately, and I'm telling you, outside of Buffalo, the view is that Cam Newton has something to prove, and he's going to do it. And a lot of people seem to think that he's actually going to bring some type of, little bit to that offense that Tom Brady couldn't do. For instance, he couldn't run him at all.
What do you think the media line is going to be about Cam Newton in New England? Do you think that they're going to be like, I think he's going to suck this year. Sorry. No, of course they're going to pump up. It's the freaking Patriots. Of course.
No, that's what the media is saying, that he'll suck. The media is saying that, dude, everywhere that I'm watching, I don't see any Cam love. I'm seeing everybody saying that his arm is shot, his throwing motion's off.
No, that's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying.
But that's what everybody's saying. Seriously.
I said it before
But when I'm talking to beat reporters, like people who are in and I'm not just talking New England beat reporters. I'm talking about beat reporters for teams. The view on Cam Newton is completely different than what the reporters on TV are saying and what you're saying. We don't have to get into Josh.
I haven't seen anybody talking about how Cam, other than you, talking about how Cam and Patriot fans talking about how Cam has something to prove. I haven't seen nobody talking about that. But that's just me. Sorry. You're reading the chats.
You can hold me to it. I'm not saying that the Pats are going to go 16-0 or 12-4. What I'm saying is Cam Newton is going to. I'm not a Patriot. Wait, let me back up.
Yes,
I'm not a Patriots fan.
Yes, you are.
I'm a Cam Newton fan. No. Let me make my love very clear. I love Cam Newton. Cam Newton is my guy. He's been my guy since he was at Auburn. I love Cam. I've always loved Cam.
If you go to Spence's Twitter and you search Jay Spence and Robert Kraft, you'll see a tweet where he says that he believes that Kraft is innocent. Just so you know, if you find it.
If you find that, please send it to me. I'll send you a $100 check right now, like immediately.
That's funny. I was just going to say something. I can't remember what it was though. That's funny. Oh well, yeah. You and your Patriots love.
Cam signed for league minimum. Something's broken. No, he signed for league minimum because that's the narrative, is that something's broken. I'm telling you, he's going to, especially on a league minimum, he's going to prove y'all wrong, and I'm telling you, it's not going to be a walkover when we get to those 2 games this season. Don't go in there overly confident.
The best part about this conversation and just our relationship in general is it's so good cop, bad cop, and it's not planned. You're just the bad cop all the time.
Yeah, I am. I actually said it in the chat the other day. I'm like, yeah, Joe, I'll be the bad guy about this. He's like, newsflash, you're always the bad guy.
Always the bad guy, because you're a Patriots fan. Just admit it. Own it, bro. You're a Patriots fan.
Who writes checks? Bankers.
He is a bank. Boom. It's true. He works for a bank.
Boom, boom.
By the way, there's like 80 people watching this thing now. We're looking for some show sponsors. So
I got something on my chin. What I got on my chin? A beard?
They call it hair. Well,
I don't know.
Got some hair there. We're looking for some show sponsors coming into the season. As far as, so basically, the Hump Day Hotline brought to you by blank. So if you are a business owner, if you are an executive, if you are a general manager, or if you are somebody who basically has marketing dollars to spend and you want your information, your company's information, to go out and be sponsored by Spence and I, dude, like thousands of people watch this thing. Our last episode, I think I got viewed on YouTube 2,500 times. We obviously, it gets retweeted a bunch. So we're looking for people to help us out. So if you've got, like I said, those marketing dollars to spend and you want it to say the Hump Day Hotline brought to you by your company, hit us up. So whether it's on Twitter or find some way to get connected with us, we would love to have some conversation as far as that goes. So I want to pay some bills, basically is what we want to do. So
yeah.
Little plug.
All right. So one more topic and then we can,
a whole topic.
Well, no, I mean, one more comment, I should say.
Okay.
Because my wife just got home and I'm hungry. She got Subway.
Oh, so we're getting back to the making Hump Day great again. So, did you see that? Did you see that comment?
See that. No.
So I put it up there. No. It might have been Cody Finney said making Hump Day great again.
It probably was Cody.
So where is it? Oh, you're just looking for one?
Yeah.
Does that count?
Okay, this is what I'll do. Hit me up in the comments real quick. Let me ask you this, because there's a bunch of fantasy leagues that are about to start drafts and, all this stuff. Like Joe just mentioned, he's in the league with me as well. So if you do not have the number 1 or 2 pick, and you got number 3, who are you picking? Joe?
Oh, you're asking me? I thought you were asking the people.
Well, the people, it's going to take them a second to get in the comments.
Well, Saquon Barkley's, I mean, are we talking PPR? Are we talking, what? So is it
PPR?
Saquon's going first. So Saquon Barkley's going first. And at that point in time, I mean, you're always going to be in an argument at number 2 over, probably one of the great wide receivers, right? So Julio Jones, although.
Really?
Did Michael Thomas opt out, or was that just a joke that I saw on Twitter? I don't
know, but I'm taking CMC second. I'm not taking.
No. I wasn't done. I said there's going to be an argument about taking one of the great wide receivers second. Somebody always seems to come up in that top 3 spot to take one of those guys.
Okay.
So you didn't hear me wrong. I just didn't get to finish. So yes, I mean, for me at 3, if CMC's there, I'm taking CMC. From a total overall running back standpoint, I don't know if there's anybody. I'm trying to do the math in my head or not the math, but just trying to break down the players in my head. I don't know that there's anybody left worth the 3rd overall pick from a running back standpoint. I mean, the running backs are pretty deep this year. You're talking about a lot of teams like Singletary is going to have the value I don't think that he had last year. I think Moss is going to cut into his carries. But I mean, he wouldn't be worthy of the top 3 pick anyway, but I don't know. Yeah. Who would you take at 3? But you got to let me know who's going first and second. I mean, you can't just be like, 3, I'm taking this guy.
Yeah, I got you. So first, obviously, like you said, Barkley's going first. Then I think McCaffrey's going second. So I'm sticking with a running back at this point. I would go with Zeke.
Probably. You're probably right. So Zeke, I think I took Zeke 3rd last year. If I'm not mistaken, in one of the leagues that I was in, and I won my league, by the way. Interestingly enough. It's
got
tough,
some
dude.
CMCs first in here.
Well, yeah, it's going to be CMC or Barkley, right?
Yeah,
so, but I'm just saying, there's always everybody knows it. There's always the one guy that top 3 picks that like jumps up and takes. Actually, in the top 4, a quarterback and a wide receiver. There's always somebody that does it in a PPR league, and you're like, what? Okay, like PPR leagues, the first 8 players should always be running backs, in my opinion. But that's just me. So.
Well, it depends for me. Depends on the league. Like, so for instance, the league that you and I are in, we have a super flex. So you can have a quarterback in your flex position and the other
That's
one.
not normal. That's not normal, though.
There's some leagues. I've like most leagues actually now, money leagues that I've been playing in and like that. That's the only reason why it's set up like this for ours.
Yeah.
But I can see Kamara. Yeah.
Oh, Alvin. Yeah, but Alvin had an off year last year. Like, he didn't have a great year last year. Wasn't he down a little bit last year, just in numbers?
He was just a little bit, but I think the team had to adjust. They had just lost. What's my guy that went up to Baltimore?
Yeah, Aaron Jones. I'm not backing Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones had a great season last year, and yes, he had a monster load of touchdowns. That's not going to happen again. Like, it's just not going to happen again. That team, I'm just going to stop it there. So yeah, and don't be yelling at us, Elliot.
Yeah, stop using caps, man. Let me ask you this. I saw this somewhere, and I debated it. So the wide receiver down in Dallas, help me, I'm having a brain fart.
The wide receiver? Oh, Amari Cooper?
Amari Cooper. Do you think he's a top 5 receiver in the league right now?
Top 5 in the league. It's debatable. I don't think he is, but it's debatable. You're going to find people that do. Right.
Surprisingly, a ton of people think he is.
I think Stephon Diggs could outgain him this year.
Absolutely. Now I'll give him top 7 like that in that top 10, like but closer to 5. But I just wouldn't put him in that top 5.
I'm not gonna lie. That's not a bad 3rd pick overall.
Was that Kelsey?
Yeah, Travis Kelce. I've seen guys do that, and I've seen guys win that way. Because when you're talking tight ends, like, it's Travis Kelce and everybody else still, as much as, like, you know, some of these, who's the dude from the 49ers? My brain's.
We're both having brain fart. It's time to eat. That's what it is.
Yeah, but yeah, that's not a bad idea. So Mark Ingram is not. I don't think that team has. I don't think that team has.
That's what I was talking about, though. No, that's what I was talking about when I said the reason why Kamara had the issue, like his numbers dropped because they just lost Ingram. So teams were adjusting to the running game, and they knew Kamara was getting the ball.
Yeah, George Kittle. Yeah, it was right there on the tip of my tongue. Thanks, everybody. Yep, you guys are awesome. Cooper is 2.5.
Top 5.
Yeah, you got there. Top 5. Yeah, you got there before I did. Yeah. Interesting stuff.
Listen, guys, if there's enough people that wants to do a Buffalo Fanatics fantasy league, we have one that's separate that we're doing with just our guys. But I would be more than happy to put together a league.
That's a dynasty league. So
the one so that's a little different. But I would be more than happy to put together a league. I just need engagement, and I need to make sure that people pay in advance. I'm the type of commissioner, money has to be paid before the draft. If not, we're not drafting.
Money talks. What happens if you end up getting like 70 people? That's like 7 leagues. You're going to run all 7 leagues?
Yeah, I do it.
Really? Look at this guy.
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, no, it's kind of like what Cover One did last year. I don't know if anybody in the chat was part of the Cover One leagues, but they had like 7 or 8 different leagues under the umbrella of Cover One. I won't play in every league, but I'll help them run it.
Chris Jenke coming in hot. Michael Thomas, Julio, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Beckham. I'm not sure about Beckham. See, that's the problem. That's where it gets hazy, right?
How are you not sure about Beckham?
Because he plays for the Browns.
But that doesn't mean he's not a top 5 receiver. That just means his quarterback is trash.
Okay, we're thinking differently. If we're talking about top 5 potential receiver, if Odell Beckham Jr. played for, you know, a better quarterback, then yes, he's top 5. But in his current situation, I don't think he's gonna have top 5 wide receiver numbers.
Well, are we still talking fantasy? Because when I asked you about, when I asked you about Cooper being a top 5 player, I wasn't talking fantasy value. I meant player. But so if we're having this conversation about fantasy, then I say not top 5.
Then I say no. I don't think Cooper's a top 5 player in the wide receiver in the NFL. I don't think so. No, I think there's better wide receivers in the NFL. I think Keenan Allen's better than Amari Cooper.
Wait, Hopkins instead of OBJ. What are we? I miss something?
That was the top 5 that you just put up. He put the top 5 up, so he's putting up high. He's right. Nuke is better than OBJ in current situation. Although,
But see, I don't put Tyreek Hill or Mike Evans over Beckham.
Although
I don't.
Nuke might be running a lot of wide receiver screens this year.
I think that's going to change. Honestly, no. Look at other than because we've had this talk too. So obviously he has the most reliable wide receiver out there from last season and the years before. But this year, Kyler Murray having these type of receivers now, I'm telling you, he's not going to be that dink and dunk that we saw last season. It's going to be a completely different. And I'm not saying it because I live in Arizona now. He's just going to be a better quarterback.
Pierre, the answer is you. You, Pierre.
Yeah, it's you.
The answer is you. Everybody wants it. Should we just end it there? Is that like the end of the show? We got 30 seconds left.
That could be the end of the show.
I'm against fantasy.
I don't get it. I saw the comment earlier, Cody. You said you feel like it's ruining football. I don't feel like it's ruining football. I think it actually helps the engagement for common fans because you're following players that you wouldn't normally watch or pay attention to. I just think that it allows people who don't really watch everything to pay attention to everything else. I love it
when they interview the players and like in some of those, not just some of the off shows, so not like a normal interview, but when they like the players talk about like other players that like let them down in fantasy. I think that's really, really funny. So why don't we wrap this thing up because we've lost about 20 viewers in the last probably 3 minutes. So yeah, I think everybody's checking out.
90 minutes is a long time.
90 minutes is a long time to hang out. So I want to just thank everybody for tuning in to the Hump Day Hotline. We're one day, every day, we're one day closer to the NFL season happening. And right now everything's on schedule. Just for those of you that don't know, there's going to be a ramp up period with training camp. So they can't do anything until the 12th of August. And then they can start doing football activities from the 12th to the 17th. And they can't actually put pads on and hit each other until the 17th. So there's really going to be no true information that probably comes from the NFL as far as training camp. It's going to be very weird this year. No preseason, if you haven't heard that, but the season is expected to start on time. My name is Joe Miller. I'm the host of the Overreaction Podcast, and super thankful for you to be here. That is my guy over there. I did it right the first time.
You did it, yeah.
I think I did that, but yeah.
You did one of those. Well, I'm Jay Spence the King. I am the host of Code of Conduct Podcast. We had an episode come out today. So if you still want to listen to some Bills stuff before you go to bed tonight out there in Buffalo, go ahead and take a listen to it. And tomorrow, whose show's tomorrow? Thursday.
Pierre, I forget. But you had Del Reed on your show today.
I did have Del Reed on my show. It was a very good show today.
Super good. If you're interested in how the Bills Mafia started, jump on and listen to the Code of Conduct because that was a really great interview.
Thank you.
Dell's just a great interview, just in general.
He's awesome. He's so awesome. Cool.
So yeah, but appreciate you guys joining us. Until next time, next week, right? So we'll be doing this the same bat time, same bat channel next week. Hump Day Hotline, bringing it to you hot, making Hump Day relevant again. All around Western New York and the country. Jay Spence, love you, dude. Have a wonderful evening. Tell the wife I said hi. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. You tell your wife the same.
All right, later, brother.